In the tech world, there's this playbook everyone follows. Raise a ton of money, spend a ton of money, and grow as fast as you can. But what if you just threw that playbook out the window? Today, we're going to dive into the story of a SaaS company that did exactly that, and they built a totally unconventional blueprint for success along the way.
So last year, they hit a huge milestone, $1 million in annual recurring revenue. I mean, that's impressive, right? But here's the thing. It's how they got there that changes everything. Get this. They did it with $0 spent on marketing. Zilch. No ads, no sales team, not one single content campaign. So the question is, how on earth did they do it? Well, it wasn't just luck. It was a philosophy. Yeah, this was no accident. It was a completely deliberate philosophy. They made a very conscious choice to just reject that whole growth at all costs playbook. So you've got two paths here. On one side, there's the standard way. You raise capital, you hire a big sales team, you pour money into ads. But they took a totally different road. They started with just $10,000 of their own money and put every ounce of their focus on one thing, the product. Their whole strategy really boiled down to three core principles. And the first one, and honestly the most important one, was all about the product itself. They decided they had to build a painkiller, not a vitamin. And it's a great way to think about it, right? A vitamin is a nice to have. You have to spend a ton of money and effort convincing people they need it. But a painkiller solves a severe, urgent, throbbing headache of a problem. Your customers are already out there, right now, desperately looking for a cure. So, okay, how did they actually find this pain? They didn't just guess. They went out and did 100 interviews, and they asked one simple question. What's the most frustrating part of your day? Then they picked just one of those problems and focused on solving it perfectly. And here's the real test. They charged for it from day one. Because if people won't open their wallets for the cure, the pain just isn't bad enough. Now, once you have a true painkiller product, word of mouth isn't just a dream, it's actually possible. But here's the key. This team didn't just sit back and hope for it. Nope. They decided to engineer it. They built an active system designed to trigger sharing. They built three very specific triggers. First, a wow moment in the first 5 minutes that was so good, you just had to show a coworker. Second, absolutely fanatical customer support. We're talking personal responses from a founder in under 30 minutes that turns customers into true fans. And their most powerful weapon was something they called the client-facing flywheel. Seriously, this was the absolute game changer. It's this ingenious little loop they built that turned their customers' daily work into a constant, free stream of new users. Let me show you how it worked. The process is actually beautifully simple. Okay, step one. An agency uses the tool to get feedback from their client. Step two, that client gets to experience the super simple, elegant portal for themselves. And here's where the magic happens. When that client goes to work with their other agencies, they say, hey, why aren't we using this tool? It's way better. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. New customers, totally free. All right, their third and final principle. This one is probably the most unconventional of them all. Since they couldn't afford any of the traditional marketing stuff, they decided to make the very process of building their company into their marketing. And this quote from them just says it all perfectly. Instead of hiding their journey and only showing the polished final product, they embraced radical transparency. They invited the whole world to follow along, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they weren't vague about it either. I mean, look at this. They use bare metrics to share their live revenue numbers for anyone to see. Their entire product roadmap? It was on a public Trello board where users could actually vote on what got built next. And the founders themselves were all over Reddit and niche forums, not selling, just being genuinely helpful. This built a massive amount of trust and a story that people really wanted to root for. So, when you put all these pieces together, the painkiller product, the engineered word of mouth, and the radical transparency, you get something really, really powerful. You get a growth engine that's driven not by a big bank account, but by its constraints. And you know what's wild? The thing that should have been their biggest weakness, having no money for marketing, actually became their greatest strength. It forced them to get creative. It forced them to focus relentlessly on the one thing that truly mattered, building a product so damn good that it would market itself. And that whole mindset led them to this incredibly powerful guiding question that they ask themselves every single day. Is our product so good that people will choose to share it? As long as the answer to that question was yes, they knew they didn't need a marketing budget. They already had a growth engine. This whole story leaves us with a pretty powerful question for ourselves, doesn't it? It's so easy to look at our own limitations, a small budget, a tiny team, and just see them as roadblocks. But what if they're not? What constraint are you facing right now that, if you just looked at it a little differently, could actually become your greatest strength, your secret weapon?